leaders of the BRICS nations deliver addresses at this year's summit in Johannesburg, highlighting the importance of economic and green cooperation. U.S. Secretary of Commerce Gina Raimondo will visit China from August 27th to 30th as both sides seek to thaw relations. And the 14th China Northeast Asia Expo kicked off today in Changchun, Jilin Province to boost trade and investment cooperation in the region. From CGTN headquarters here in Beijing, this is Global Business. I'm Michelle Vandenberg. Chinese President Xi Jinping has delivered a statement on Wednesday at the 15th BRICS Summit. Xi said that development is a right of all countries and not a privilege limited to a few countries. He also said it is unacceptable to dress up domestic rules and regulations as international norms. President Xi added that China will set up a China BRICS Science and Innovation Incubation Park for the new era. He also said BRICS countries have agreed on quick action to start an artificial intelligence study group and to expand AI cooperation. Leaders of South Africa, Brazil, Russia, and India have also addressed the summit. The three-day summit kicked off on Tuesday in Johannesburg, South Africa. Now, for more updates on the 2023 BRICS Summit, we toss over to our reporter Zhao Yunfei in Johannesburg. Hi there, Yunfeng. So, what's the latest for us?
Hi there, Michelle. So the agenda for the BRICS Summit is very, very tight. And usually in the morning, there are gatherings of the 5 BRICS members, and in the afternoon, there are scheduled bilateral meetings. So this coming afternoon, we're expecting to see that President Xi is going to have bilateral meetings with some leaders of the country. And I'm here at the venue where President Xi is going to host the bilateral meeting. So behind me, from now on, anytime you'll be able to see the convoy of President Xi. So we're standby and waiting. Now, in this morning's gathering of BRICS, President Xi especially mentioned about the peoples-to-people coordination exchanges under the BRICS mechanism. And the reason why he mentioned that is because that all members he has to make sure that all members respect with each other and respect peaceful coexistence and being inclusive with each other's ideology. And this is always part of the BRICS mission. So this year's BRICS Summit, people talk about the expansion of the emerging economies, and that has really attracted a lot of the countries from the global south. So certainly for those countries who are not part of the BRICS members but do come over here, the leaders will be able to certainly talk to the Chinese leader as well. So again, we are standing by over here and trying to say that any of the leaders of the country will be able to join. Now back to you.
All right, thank you so much for the update, Zhao Yunfei, for us at the BRICS Summit in Johannesburg. Now, for more discussions on President Xi's speech and BRICS expansion, we're joined by Mika Kubai, researcher at the Institute for Global Dialogue associated with UNISA. Hi there, Professor Kubai. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. So in his speech, President Xi called for more innovation in African countries. How do you think that can be achieved?
Thank you so much for having me, Michelle. Well, most of the president's speech speaks to the need for collaboration. There are 2 particular sections in his speech that speak very firmly to this point. The heading, we need to achieve universal security. We need to promote development and prosperity for all. And the other is we need to stay committed to exchanges among civilizations and mutual learning. Now, this speaks to a realization that, look, in order to develop, you need collaborations, you need to share exchanges, you need to share knowledge, you need to exchange, collaborate on research and development. I was in China not too long ago, and the amount of learning that China has had to do in order to master and even improve and develop new concepts. It had to acknowledge a point in its history where it wasn't as developed. and therefore sought to learn. So these are some of the striking features of President Xi's speech, that I thought actually quite useful and encouraging.
Yeah. Now, the expansion of BRICS will most likely to be on the agenda at this year's summit. What do you think an enlarged BRICS mean for a more multipolar world? Can it make the world more inclusive and fair?
Well, Michelle, it certainly will try. It's a very, very positive start. It's a very good sign. You will recall that BRICS, when it started in 2009, there are many that did not even give it a chance at all. Dismissed outright, does not have enough power, does not have enough clout, and so on. 15 years down the line, suddenly you have so many countries from vast continents, very different countries, different political systems, different economic sizes and systems, different material conditions, on their home turf. All of them interested, and some even 23 even applying to join the bloc. So that must be, a very strong signal to the world that indeed this is the right way to go. All of these countries have done their due diligence. All of these countries, have subscribed to the agenda, reform and development agenda, that BRICS, professes, right? And all of them are of the firm view, of course, that it can be achieved. A fairer, more equitable global governance system, a fairer, more democratic multilateralism, a reformed United Nations at the center, of global governance can be achieved, and all of these ideals, can be achieved. That is why they're, attracted to the BRICS and BRICS reform and development agenda. So yes, it's a very, very positive sign that this can indeed be achieved.
Also today, young people...
It won't be easy, but it can be achieved.
Good to know. Yeah, definitely won't be easy. And also today, young people in BRICS member states have called for the establishment of a BRICS Young Youth Council. How can member states ensure that the voices of young people are heard?
Well, a BRICS Youth Council is a useful idea. I mean, that's one definite way of promoting people-to-people exchanges, sharing ideas and experiences. In fact, precisely the issue of the civilizational learnings and sharing exchanges that President Xi spoke about. That is one vehicle that can be very strong in advancing that aspect. Young people are dynamic. They are very modern. They are very tech savvy. They are very much aware and alert to all sorts of developments in the world, and they are very quick to innovate ways of exchanging and sharing ideas and collaborating. So, a BRICS Youth Council would be, one such a good idea. But it is also important, for states to engage young people locally, to engage them, tell them about BRICS, engage them, and suss out their ideas, on what BRICS ought to be as well. Engage them, involve them, in activities of BRICS at a local level as well. That is very important.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for your insights. We really appreciate your time. Mika Kubai, researcher of Institute for Global Dialogue, associated with UNISA. Now let's take a look at what some experts had to say on the importance of BRICS as a multilateral platform and its growing influence on the global economy.
The fact that you have so many other countries who are eager to join the BRICS group of countries as well, it shows the influence that BRICS has developed over the past few years. And there's a yearning by countries that they want to move away from being controlled by certain countries in the world, that we need to come together and provide solutions together. Otherwise, if we still have only certain countries that's dominant, it's not going to help with the development, and especially South-South cooperation.
So I think that the BRICS cooperation is very important for the global economy. If we look simply at numbers, which I'm sure you are aware of, but if we look at the GDP of these countries, the 5 nations of BRICS, which is about 26 trillion, and we look at the population that they comprise of globally, you start to understand that they must have a huge impact on the world economy. Now, it would be folly not to have any cooperation with a bloc that comprises almost 37% of the global population. And as I said, the GDP is sitting at about 26 trillion US dollars. That is huge by any, in any language. So they play a huge role. So I would say that given the numbers that we know, given the experience in terms of their development, that knowledge and that knowledge should be used to assist in the development trajectory of the rest of the developmental world. So it's important that the BRICS organization as it is able to have a positive impact on the rest of the world's development trajectory.
Brazil, China, and the other BRICS countries, they have signed an economic strategy and also a technology strategy in the past years. And actually in 2021, when China was hosting the BRICS summit, the BRICS established the BRICS Partnership, a new industrial revolution, and innovation and cooperation in the industrial field. And 2 years before, when Brazil, for its turn, was hosting the BRICS, there were initial discussions amongst the BRICS ministers of environment on two mechanisms to facilitate the transfer and the financing of green technologies in the bloc. So I believe there are many initiatives and ideas in their early stages that need to be further developed and implemented. And in doing so, there could be many opportunities to enhance partnerships and investments in Brazilian manufacturing and green and high technology sectors.
South Africa's Trade and Industry Minister Abraham Patel has invited BRICS countries to partner on its green hydrogen ambitions. The country aims to leverage its unique geographical advantages to be a leader in green hydrogen and renewable energy development, and is already collaborating with BRICS and other African nations on various energy projects. Sumitra Naidu has more.
Countries across the globe are scrambling to secure cleaner energy sources. South Africa has ambitious plans to plug this gap.
South Africa has been expanding renewable energy. We're blessed with adequate sun and wonderful wind. And in addition to that, we've launched now some pilot projects in green hydrogen. We're sharing that with BRICS partners. And we're learning from BRICS partners to see how we can inject a greener industrial capability across the 5 BRICS countries.
South Africa, like the rest of Africa, is well positioned to become leaders in green hydrogen. A feasibility study found green hydrogen could add up to $8.8 billion to South Africa's GDP by 2050. One of the biggest advantages is South Africa's vast platinum reserves.
We are involved in 2 projects, one being a manufacturing project of fuel cell components for fuel cell aggregates, the new engines of the future, especially for heavy vehicles, but also stationary applications. And then our second project is the rollout of hydrogen fuel stations in the Gauteng area. Hydrogen is a very CO2 friendly fuel of the future. It's basically water, effectively. And we have an abundance of sun here in South Africa and of wind.
There's a particular focus on skills development and training in South Africa's hydrogen roadmap. This would involve synergies and partnerships amongst Africa and the BRICS nations with opportunities for youth.
This year in particular, we have been able to embed the work of the Skills Development Working Group across the other sector-facing working groups. As we speak at the moment, there is an energy masterclass that is targeted at youth, trying to impart skills to youth to be able to provide solutions in the energy sector. Next month, we will be hosting the BRICS nations. They'll be coming back, but this time it will be youth.
South Africa has already launched a $1 billion fund that would be used to fast-track the construction and development of green hydrogen projects. In the meantime, it wants to learn and collaborate with its partners like China, which is the world's leading producer of the components and technologies for green and solar energy. Sumitra Naidu, CGTN, Johannesburg, South Africa.
Now, for more discussions on BRICS countries' cooperations, we're joined by Zhang Jianyu, Executive Dean of the BRI Green Development Institute. Mr. Zhang, thank you so much for joining us on the program. So, media executives and professionals from the BRICS countries have called for efforts to further promote cooperation to address common global challenges at this year's BRICS summit. How are BRICS countries and other African nations working together now in the fields of infrastructure, construction, green energy, and low carbon emissions?
Well, I think infrastructure definitely has been identified as one of the really bottleneck for the development of the African countries, and I think that's why I think everybody sees that's the greatest potential for cooperation between the BRICS countries and the African Union, because apparently they have mutual interests, reciprocal capabilities, and they can really match with each other in terms of demand and supply. And also, I think one very unique model can be developed between the BRICS countries and the African Union, which is the PPP model, namely the public-private partnership. And I think throughout the years, there has been close cooperation between the BRICS countries and the African unions with regard to how to develop and how to explore the PPP model in terms of the development. And certainly, I think the New Development Bank, which was established in 2015, certainly has been playing a increasingly more and more important role in facilitating that development. When it comes to the green energy, as we have heard and said, that on one side, Africa has the largest potential in terms of renewable energies. It accounts about 60% of global solar resources. But unfortunately, the installation is only 1%. On the other side, the BRICS countries, particularly China, has the largest capability of providing those technologies, products, and also experiences in developing the energy system. So that's also an area I think has a great potential for both sides to cooperate. And certainly with regard to low carbon development, I think the BRICS countries also is forging a consensus with the African unions with regard to the sustainable development. Remember, the Johannesburg meeting is a landmark meeting in the pathway of the sustainable development of the global development. And increasingly, there are more exchange and facilitation between the BRICS countries and African unions with regard to low carbon technology development, training and capacity building, and also in the fields of green transition. And lastly, I would say in the fields of low carbon finance, there's also great potential between the two sides to work with each other.
Mm-hmm. And can you elaborate on how can future cooperation of the current and also potential BRICS members be facilitated in these areas?
Well, I think one of the key areas that has been identified really to help with African development is the industrialization process. Only with industrialization, you can develop a stable income stream for your citizens, and then you increase the multiplier of your total investment. People establish the credit history, and then you can really to foster the economy. And I think that's the area that the two sides not only can do sort of supply and demand, but what they can really help is to facilitate this local manufacturing, local installation and local consumption. I think with that, we can really see the potential of both sides to work with each other and also to help the African countries to develop its own autonomy in terms of its economic development.
All right, thank you so much for your insights. Really appreciate your time. Zhang Jianyu, Executive Dean of the BRI Green Development Institute. You're watching Global Business, still to come. U.S. Secretary of Commerce Gina Raimondo will visit China from August 27th to the 30th as both sides seek to thaw relations.
Climate change, economic uncertainty, and food insecurity. As the world faces multiple challenges, heads of state of BRICS nations and 55 African countries meet in South Africa with a common goal to promote multilateralism and sustainable development. CGTN will bring you in-depth reports and comprehensive analysis on one of the largest gatherings of developing countries. BRICS Summit 2023. Building an inclusive world.
U.S. Secretary of Commerce Gina Raimondo will visit China from August 27th to the 30th at the invitation of Chinese Commerce Minister Wang Wentao. Ahead of her trip, Raimondo met with China's ambassador to the U.S., Xie Feng. They have exchanged views on bilateral trade. Xie said China's policy towards the U.S. has always been consistent and follows the principles of mutual respect, peaceful coexistence, and win-win cooperation. The Chinese ambassador voiced hope that the two countries could lengthen the list of cooperation and shorten the negative list. Raimondo said they have discussed issues relating to the bilateral commercial relationship. The U.S. said the talks were productive. The 14th China Northeast Asia Expo kicked off today in Changchun, Jilin Province, serving as a platform to help boost trade and investment cooperation and development of the region. The event, which will run until Sunday, has attracted over 1,000 exhibitors from home and abroad and will include a series of activities, including a high-level forum, roundtable discussions, and economic and trade exchange activities with foreign countries. One notable pavilion features the latest scientific and technological achievements of Jilin Province, including those in optoelectronic information, intelligent manufacturing, modern agriculture, and new energy. The 2023 Yantai International Wine Festival kicked off in the coastal city of Yantai, Shandong Province last week. A grand opening ceremony was held to mark the start of the festival, which runs until October and features many promotional events. Shang Yang brings us more.
The opening ceremony highlighted Yantai's role as the international grape and wine city in Asia. Performances at the ceremony showcased the lasting influence of wine culture in China. Speeches given at the event acknowledged the integrated development of the city's tourism industry. As a major drive to promote Yantai's culture and tourism, the festival spans from August to October. A series of activities such as Huangbo Haixi Fishing Opening Day, Qingcong Youth Film Festival are underway.
Everyone knows that I am a film director. Actually, I'm also a teacher. The Qingcong project is to support young directors organized by the China Directors Association under the commission of the National Film Bureau. 5 best films will be selected and supported financially. Film companies and whole society will also be mobilized to contribute.
Yantai is the largest grape wine producing area in China with the most mature industrial chain in the country. Statistics show a total of 204 winemaking enterprises, 63 famous vineyards, and more than 200 supporting enterprises in Yantai.
This is my first visit to Yantai. Here, grape wine industry has a history of more than 100 years. I think it is a historical opportunity. Time and nature provided a special environment to make further development.
Yantai is the cradle of modern wine industry in China. As the popular saying goes, wine is the artistic expression of land. The grape wine has become Yantai's unique appeal with its cultural connotations and beautiful landmarks. Now the city is ready to send its biggest welcome to the world. CMG Mobile, Yantai, Shandong Province.
Yesterday was Qixi Festival, or China's Valentine's Day, where the tradition of taking wedding photos before the actual wedding ceremony holds strong. However, for many young people in China, there's a lot more than doing pre-wedding photos to celebrate the joyful occasion. Ying Junyi has the story.
Living in a globally connected world and given rising incomes, young Chinese are increasingly looking to impress with lavish pre-wedding events. Previously, pre-wedding photo shoots were a big part of that, but now there's something new. More and more young couples are picking out scenes from their favorite movies and are reenacting them in memory of the happy day. This film studio in Shanghai is keeping busy on the short films, with happy customers who want to try something different.
We decided to reenact film scenes instead because taking wedding photos is pretty old-fashioned. We found the studio online, and their work is pretty good.
Younger people are impressed with this. We can express more emotion in a short film than in photos. I think it's more significant.
And it's not that easy. The studio says the short films have to be carefully planned, sometimes months in advance of the ceremony. But there are plenty of young couples willing to plan ahead, allowing enough time to reenact their favorite scenes.
We're now getting 4 or 5 couples a week. Before filming, we need to take 10 to 15 days to learn what they want, and to make some adjustments to the original script. The shooting only takes a day, but the whole project takes around 3 months.
Growing demand means big money. The studio says it usually costs from 15,000 to 30,000 yuan to make one of the short films, based on the preparation needed. But with the development of the internet and online social platforms, it's still pretty trendy despite the cost.
Our clients are mainly couples in high-tier cities. It's getting more and more popular due to the development of mobile communication technology. With that, the video content can spread online, and so more short video platforms are emerging. The young generation is more willing to post short video online, and it's becoming a trendy way to socialize. To them, it's more interesting than just taking wedding photos.
As the equipment needed advances in quality and cheapens in cost, Xiang says the pre-wedding video industry should definitely expand as more and more film studios emerge. Smile for the camera. Ying Junyi, ICS for CGTN, Shanghai.
And that will do it for this edition of Global Business here on CGTN. I'm Sha Vandenberg in Beijing. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.